Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I bring to you Embryology series. I've started this new series so that embryology can be covered as well as with your histology. So today it will be a very light lecture, very basic things. We'll just start with basics of embryology. Let's go. It's a general overview of embryology, alright? So what exactly is embryology? Embryology is basically a science that deals with the development and growth of an individual before the birth. Then, this period is from the period of fertilization, that is when the egg and the sperm fuse to form the zygote. Fertilization is this. So, embryology refers to the study from the period of fertilization to birth. Alright. This period is called as the gestational period, where prenatal development takes place. Now, a question may occur to you, what do you mean by prenatal? So, pre means before, pehle, first. So, pre, before, and natal refers to a child. Sorry about that. So, before the child is born, that is the child in the intrauterine life, the development at that time is called as the prenatal development. And this period is also called as the gestational period. Alright. Now, there's something called as the postnatal development, that is up to 25 years of age. We will discuss about that as we go ahead. Talking about the prenatal development, it begins with a single cell. The single cell is the fertilized cell called as the zygote. Alright. Now, it culminates with a complex organism, that is the fetus, at the end of 9 months or 38 to 40 weeks or 266 days. There are different periods of prenatal development. There are two major classifications, which includes one, the clinical classification, and the other, the embryological classification. We'll come to the clinical classification first. This is very important when you come to your clinical studies, right? So the clinical classification includes the first trimester, the second trimester, and the third trimester. Very commonly used words, because this is something you use it on a day-to-day basis as well. Then, the first trimester is the period from the 1st to the 12th week. The second trimester is the period from the 13th to the 28th week. The third trimester is the period from 29th to 40th week, or till the child is born. How do you calculate the end delivery date? End delivery date is also the date till where your gestational will take place. Okay. So the gestational period is what we will calculate here first. Okay, so the first day of the last menstruation, and you add 9 months to that, because we know that a child is developed in the uterus for the 9 months, and you also add 7 days to it, and this is the end delivery date. This entire calculation, this is important again for clinical basis. Then we come to embryological classification. This will be very important for all of you at this point in your MBBS, that is the first year. Embryological classification is divided into pre-embryonic period, embryonic period, and the fetal period. So pre-embryonic period is when there is no particular shape or anything to the to the developing baby inside the uterus. That is, it's just a group of cells. It's just a group of cell masses. So this takes place from the fertilization to the second week of intrauterine life, to the end of the second week of intrauterine life. Then you have the embryonic period. This is where the small baby starts taking shape in the uterus. I should say fetus instead of baby. Apologies for that. So this is when the fetus starts taking shape. Okay. So this is from the third week, the start of the third week till the end of the 8th week of intrauterine life. Then we have the fetal period. Here you have major organ development taking place. So this is from the 9th week of intrauterine life till the period of birth. This is from the start, alright. Now major morphological events occurring during pre-embryonic and embryonic and fetal periods of prenatal development. This I've taken it from Vishram Singh's textbook of clinical embryology. This table right here. So we'll just read through it and you should know what happens. This topic is basically important for your MCQ. Alright. So in the pre-embryonic period, you have the formation of the zygote, initiation of cleavage, implantation and formation of the bilaminar germ disc. So all of this we'll be discussing in the further upcoming lectures. Now in the embryonic period, which is from 3rd week to the 8th week as we discussed earlier, you have the formation of 3 germ layers. Now germ layers is from where your organ systems are derived. Then you have organogenesis, that is starting of the development of organs. Then you have the folding of embryo. You know this particular shape of the embryo which you see. Sorry, something is happening with my Apple Pencil. But let's continue. Okay. So this is that shape you have, like a kidney bean shape, kind of a shape of the baby curled up in a ball. So that is called as the folding of the embryo. Formation of a miniature human, where you see the features, like you see the morphological features developing very well. Then you have the differentiation of germ layers into specific body organs. Alright, as I said, these 3 germ layers will form body organs. Now in the fetal period, which is from the 9th week to the birth, you have growth and specialization of these body structures. So I told you, rapid organogenesis. Either organogenesis to hoga, either start hoga. Either you will have proper development and growth of these organs and body structures. Now we will come to the periods of postnatal development. Okay, so this is just important. It's not that important. You just need to know the age which you have here. So I'll just explain it in a very brief manner. So infancy is from birth to 1 year. So the baby, when it's born, you call it an infant. Then childhood is from 2 years to 12 years. You call this human as a child. Then you have puberty, which is from 13 years to 16 years. Adolescence is from 17 years to 18 years. And adulthood is from 19 years to 25 years. I found this cute little picture over here depicting infancy, childhood, puberty, adolescence, adulthood, all that. Okay, one important thing in infancy is that the first 4 weeks of infancy is termed as the neonatal period. This is very important and very critical for the survival of the newborn. Alright, very critical for the survival of the newborn. Why? Because the newborn, it's like just born, like so the newborn is just born. Alright, the organs are not very acquainted or not used to, in simple terms, as we say, to the external environment. So it takes time for adaptation of the organs, that is especially the cardiovascular system, the heart, and the respiratory system, to adapt to the external environment, because major amount of gas exchange occurs via the placenta. The blood also supplies with respect to the placenta. So we'll study all of this further. And neonatal period is usually, the study of the neonatal period is called as neonatology, and the babies at this stage are called as neonates. Wow. Neonates. Now we come to the major divisions of embryology. Now we will study majorly the general and systemic embryology. All of this will be taken up inside of general and systemic embryology. We may not touch upon few topics here and there, but yes. So general embryology is the development of the individual during the first 8 weeks after fertilization. First 8 weeks. Okay, there's something very wrong, so I won't be writing much. I'll just try underlining. So general embryology is dealing with the development of an individual during the first 8 weeks after fertilization. At this period, a single cell zygote is converted into a form that externally resembles the features of a miniature human. So first 8 weeks, now we come back to this, is till your embryological period. This is your first 8 weeks, and we will do this in general embryology. The remaining fetal period will be covered in systemic. In systemic, we deal with the functional maturation of various organs and systems of the body that are formed during the embryonic period. Alright? Now, these will overlap and these will overlap. So, here we have a lot of organogenesis, and here we have a lot of maturation of these organs. Alright? So, in dono ka milake, like we combine these two and we do systemic studies. And here we do general studies of general embryology. Then we have something called as descriptive embryology, which deals with structure of different organs at various stages of development. So during the development in general as well as systemic, we will cover descriptive embryology a little bit, not much in depth at this stage. Then we have comparative embryology, which deals with the study of embryos in various species of animals. We won't really cover comparative, but it is a branch. Then we have experimental, which deals with the results obtained from experiments of living embryos, fetuses of lower animals. Then we have chemical embryology, which deals with biochemistry aspect of the prenatal development. Then we have teratology. This is a topic which is slightly important and we touch upon it, not as much. Again, here it is a branch of embryology that is concerned with the congenital anomalies or birth defects. It deals with the abnormal embryonic and fetal development. Teratology is we'll be further seeing teratology in chapters ahead. Basically, teratology are the toxic effects of certain substances that happen on the fetus, which result in the fetus developing some congenital anomalies. Now we come to some important embryological terminologies. I'll just add 2-3 photos so that it's easier for me to explain it a little. Should have done that a little earlier, but it's fine. Okay, yeah. So, important terminologies include oocyte, sperm, zygote, conceptus, cleavage. These are very basic terms. So, oocytes are the female germ cells or sex cells produced by the ovaries. This is the okay, wow. This is the female and this is the male sex cells. Alright. So the female sex cells is called as the oocyte. The mature oocyte is called as the secondary oocyte. Right? Now sperm is the male germ cell produced by the testes. These are produced by the ovaries, as we all know, and these are produced by the testes. We will be going a little more in depth for them as well in the next chapter. Then we have a zygote. A zygote is the product formed by the union of the sperm and the oocyte. Right? The oocyte, that too, the secondary oocyte or the ovum in simple terms. The zygote in the earliest stage of it is the earliest stage of the embryo, right? Conceptus means the product of conception, which is the embryo, the extraembryonic membranes, etc. Then we have cleavage. Cleavage is a series of mitotic divisions of the zygote to form early embryonic cells. Now we come to this diagram. This is a nice, beautiful diagram. This is your oocyte, the secondary oocyte or the ovum. These are your sperms right here. When the sperm penetrates the ovum, you have a process called as the fertilization. This fertilization results in the formation of the zygote. The zygote then undergoes a series of cell division, mitotic division. Like here you can see one nucleus, the other nucleus. One nucleus, the other nucleus, one cell, the other cell. Like this, multiple divisions occur. This stage is called as cleavage, right? These cells are cleaving to form more cells. This is a mitotic stage. Now, eventually, cleavage will lead to the formation of 16 to 32 cell stage called as the morula. Morula is derived from the word morus, which means mulberry. Alright, so it has that mulberry like appearance of 16 to 32 cells, or you can say 12 to 32 cells. Now these cells which you see here are called as blastomeres, right? Then this is formed at about 3 to 4 days after fertilization. You can see here the days are written, right? So after this you have the blastocyst formation. This is a blastocyst, right? Now the blastocyst, how is the blastocyst different from the morula? You can see the structural difference over here. You can see there are two layers of cells. The outer slightly flat cells over here, which are called as the trophoblast, and an inner layer of cells called as the embryoblast. These are slightly polyhedral, irregular, slight shaped. Okay, so now there is a cavity between the trophoblast and the embryoblast. This cavity you can see here is called as the blastocele. Blastocele. Now blastocele separates the trophoblast from the embryoblast, except this small area over here. Right here. What is this area? This area forms the embryonic pole. This area forms the embryonic pole where the trophoblast and the embryoblast are in contact with each other. Right? Now the embryoblast forms the embryo, part of the development, and from the name you get it forms the embryo. The trophoblast is the outer cell mass. Now what is the important structure which develops along with the fetus inside the uterus is what the trophoblast will develop, which is the placenta. Very important organ. Now we come to the stage of implantation. It is the attachment and embedding of the blastocyst into the uterine endometrium, where it develops during gestation. This is how implantation is. Then we have our next, so we are done with oocyte, sperm, zygote, conceptus, cleavage, morula, blastocyst, and implantation. Next we have something called as gastrulation. What is gastrulation? As we had seen earlier in embryonic period, you see formation of 3 germ layers. The process of formation of these 3 germ layers is termed as gastrulation. So you can see right here, I found a nice picture. This is your blastocyst. Can you see this structure? After implantation, it will form the blastula. Gastrulation will occur and it will eventually form an early gastrula and a late gastrula with 3 distinct layers. The ectoderm forming the outer layer, the endoderm forming the inner layer, and a layer between the both, here you see, is the mesoderm. We will discuss about this process even further. This was done, gastrulation. Now you come to neurulation. Neurulation is the formation of neural tube. It is the process of formation of neural tube. Embryo at this stage, you can call it as a neurula. Right? So this is an entire process which I won't be discussing right now. But what you see, this purple structure here, is called as the neural tube. We shall discuss about this again in the upcoming lectures. Then we have embryo. It is a developing human form of the conception, from the conception to the 8th week in the placenta. In the uterus, my bad. You can see this embryonic period. So from here, this period is called as an embryo. Then we have something called as primordium. Primordium is made up of 2 words. One is primus and the other is ordium. Order. So primus means first and order means to begin. So any organ or any developing feature in its first form is called as a primordial form of that structure. We will use this word a lot in the upcoming lecture so we can see what it really means. I can explain to you then much better. Then we have fetus from 9th week to birth. Abortion means the expulsion of the conceptus before it is viable and capable of living outside the uterus. Then we have gestation. It is the period of development of the embryo in the uterus from fertilization of the ovum till the delivery. Gestational age. The gestational age of the embryo or the fetus is calculated from the first day of the last normal menstrual period, as we had seen in the calculation part which I told you guys. Sorry about this again. Here we have the gestational phase. First day of last menstruation plus 9 months plus 7 days. This will be your gestational period. But if you want to calculate at, let's say a female visits you while she's pregnant, you need to calculate what is her gestational age. What is the gestational age of the fetus? You will ask the female what her last menstrual date was, and accordingly calculate it. Then you have sexual reproduction. It got hidden behind the photo. It involves the fusion of male and female gametes to produce offsprings. It's just very basic. It's a very basic term. So here we are done with all of this. Today's lecture ends right now. And thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe. Do comment for feedbacks, and let me know if you guys need these notes. I can make a link. So thank you.